All right, racket number 2. From an agent broker perspective, will serving on a condo board or HOA help your business? Okay, another Inman article, which we will link up. An agent is wondering if joining a condo or homeowners association board will help her in her real estate career. What advice should we give her, Nicole? We'll start with you. What advice would you give her? Yeah.
I think it's a double-edged sword, and it's funny because I was asking you before because you're in an HOA, and are you on the board?
I have 2 HOAs.
Yep.
One in Connecticut, one in Florida. Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I definitely think that this is probably this isn't immediately going to be helping your business in my mind, unless you're talking about a board or an association that has such huge turnover where you could potentially, I mean, what are you trying to gain out of this? The listings, or you're hoping buyers come to you? I totally get that. Again, in my mind, this is not, you're not getting into this as a business grower, in my opinion. I think you're getting involved in it to get involved in your association. And if you get some sales out of it, I think that's the perk. But I guess it could also be counterintuitive too. I'm sure you're a dream to the people at the board in your HOA, right? You're lovely and nice. And
so I love HOA living. Love it. Love HOA living. Love that I don't have to make every single decision, that I don't have to coordinate every single blade of grass being cut. Love that. And I choose to be in 2 HOAs for a reason. Now, one of my Connecticut HOA is a total of 16 homeowners. Florida is over 400 homeowners in that HOA. When you're an agent thinking about being on the board of an HOA association, is it going to help or hurt my business? Okay. If you're in a small HOA like 16, it's going to have no impact because the turnover on 16 units is very small. But if you're
unless you rub them the wrong way, it could actually,
or maybe it could hurt your business because maybe you get better referrals. Now, if you're, and we can get into what you're talking about there. If you're in a HOA that has 400 units or 1,000. Or it's a high rise in New York City and you want to dominate the building, you want to dominate the community, having that as your farm, different than being on the board. I get that. Different than being really active in the HOA. But if you want to farm that area that you live in, that's a really good idea. We've talked about that a bunch. Obviously, if you listen to the show, you understand that. That's a good thing. Now, being on the HOA, if you're going to be effective in your role on the board, you're going to have to take a stance on issues that not everybody is going to agree with. Okay. You get these debates in these HOAs. I want to invest in, a new driveway or whatever, right? You get all these.
Or we're hanging new light fixtures.
Or, who we're going to hire for
the landscaper?
A vendor, these kind of things.
Yeah.
And, you could have situations where half the people are on one side of the debate and or the conversation and half the people are on the other side. So if you're going to be effective in your role, you're going to have to take a side, much like politics, right? And so those people on your side are really going to support you and they're going to be for you. The people you're opposing are not going to be for you. Now, the best way to get business on a board, being on an HOA, is to be Switzerland. Is to do absolutely nothing. To be like most politicians, where you do nothing, you disturb nobody, you just sit there and collect your check, so to speak. Even though you're not getting a check to be on the board, you're just checking the box. You're completely riding the fence on every single issue. You're seeing both sides. If your goal on the board is not to improve the community or hold the value in the community, because you got to take a stance to do that. If your goal is to get business, you got to ride the fence.
Potentially, but I think also as an agent, you could be a valuable resource and explain to them, what do these decisions have for the value in the future. So,
and that's the best way to do it.
I think that's the only way that you can do it. It's a lot less about aesthetic and how it's going to make you feel. I think it's really your value will be like, how are these decisions going to impact the future of value?
Here's a very small example. In my Connecticut HOA, there's 16 homeowners, right? So
and they've been there forever. I mean, how many?
And a lot of
really
them have been there. A lot of them have been there forever. So, and there's a few new. But there's a discussion that just recently happened about light fixtures. Okay, immediately just off of intuition
but was there even a discussion? Because I all I heard was that, Nicole, they're putting new fixtures up. Do you like them? So they were already being put up.
There was some discussion around it, but ultimately, when you have a small HOA like that, you're not bringing in a designer, right? These are just homeowners making decisions based off of what they like. So we're talking about feelings, right? And we know where feelings are going to get you.
Well, I'll be honest, though. I'm not so certain that they did. I'm pretty certain that they picked the light fixture that was the most inexpensive.
That could be it, too. But they picked a particular style based off of what somebody liked, right?
Clearly.
Not based off of just me, like, knowing the market. Like, for, Nicole, we're at 300, and this is a total humble brag. Our team is at 392 units for the year. Okay, so we've got a little bit more data, and that's in that same market. We've got a little bit more data than these homeowners on what buyers like, what the trends are happening right now that increase value. And my comment was just like, hey, that's and how you get business is by trying to say, in our experience, this percentage of buyers would lean more towards this light fixture as opposed to like what I'm like. That's an ugly light fixture.
Well, you could approach it very differently, but and we just talked about it last week, though. I mean, what was it was like the top 5 or top 10 things to help sell your house even in an up market. And again, curb appeal is on that top list.
It's so big.
If someone pulls in there and feels like they're visiting their, and no offense to grandma, but like they're visiting grandma, like are they gonna want to throw the cash at that?
Honestly, those units that we're talking about, if they just had more curb appeal, I'm in my mind they'd be worth $200,000 more than what they sell for.
Well, based on your location, I mean, you could,
because it's all about location and square footage. I mean,
your size is big.
So, anyways, I don't want to get totally off topic here. I can see it helping you if you're taking an advisor role on the board.
Yes,
I don't want to make the decisions. I'm here to be a consultant based off of the data that I have access to, that I can present to the board, but I don't want to be here to make decisions, because I want to continue to use these relationships as an influence in my farm to get more business.
Right. But in your situation, if you're trying to increase your property value, maybe it is worth hopping on there, but I don't think that way is going to necessarily help your business unless there's enough people there long enough to actually see the return on that investment. Then you are going to be like the baby Jesus of the HOA.
Baby Jesus.
Yeah, they're gonna bow to you and bring you gifts.
Wow, I haven't had any gifts.
No, I'm certain that you haven't had any gifts.
So that one HOA I've gotten a little bit involved in, just because there are some. It's an older community. It was built in '84, so it's time to make some decisions there. Where the Florida one is newer, it runs perfectly. I don't need to even, and that's where I like and prefer to be a member of an HOA, is that I don't have to think about the decisions being made. Like, I know that every single
are going to go off, and the grass is going to be mowed at the same time
every week.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because you're throwing a party right after.
All right. Yeah. All right. So your take is the same advisor role here.
100%.
Okay.
100%. Yes.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this short clip from the real world, click here for another one.
Or if you like the full episode, click here.